Hello everyone, Denise here. Today I have an anniversary cake. I have never purchased one of these before. I saw it in one of my Facebook groups that they had purchased some, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna hop on it because every year that I have seen these or heard of them, you know, we don't always get them in my store, I miss out. I've only seen a couple different years of them and I never purchased them. So this year I purchased because I love these colors so very much. This is a once a year thing that Michael's brings out the cakes. They're very limited time, as you can see right here. It says they're limited time only. They're highly sought after from what I understand, and people love them. There's a lot of yardage here. So if you cannot tell, this is massive. Like, this is my hand. This is massive. It's probably 12 inches? I bet it's 12 inches. Hold on. I'm going to measure it because, like I said, this is the first one I've ever gotten. And I was unaware of it until I saw it in that Facebook group. And then I went to my app on my phone to find out what colors we had, and it said we had colors, and I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, we're looking at 11 inches tall. If I squished against it, yeah, it's 11 inches tall. So I looked on the app to see what colors we had, and it said we had a lot. So I chose the one that I liked best. And there are a lot of nice ones this year though. So I ordered one. Obviously they're not cheap. They're kind of pricey. Retail they're $39.99. And they had a 25% off coupon. So I used that, and then I had a $5 voucher, and I used that. So I got mine fairly reasonable. It says it makes one ball to make this purse or tote. Oh, this is so large. It calls for a J hook, or that pattern does anyway. This is super bulky 6, calls for an L. An L11 hook, 8mm. It's 100% acrylic. It's nice and soft. It's 35.3 ounces, 1,000 grams, 1,061 yards, 970 meters. So it's 35 ounces. It's like 2 pounds, 2 pounds of yarn. It is sizable. It is gorgeous. The top has the end, so you don't have to dive in there and look for it. I thought these colors were perfect for what I'm going to make. I'm going to make a blanket, and the tutorial will be on my channel, but I wanted to show you the cake because it's brand new to me. I know they've been around for years. Like I said, I've seen them. I've seen them online. I just have never owned one. This is my first one I've ever owned. So I'm excited to work it up. It should be fast as well because of the large size. I think it's going to be a blast to make, but I just want to soak in the fantasticness of this massive anniversary cake. I'm very happy with this color. Did I say the color? No, it's Evergreen. Isn't that perfect? It's so awesome. Love it. So I am going to make the blanket. I'll be back to you when I have it made and give you like my full rundown review on the anniversary cake. But I wanted to get this part filmed so that you could see it in its entirety. So I'll be back to you in just a bit. All right, so I have my blanket made it has been gifted. I do not have it anymore. This is what I have left right there. It is 1/2 ounce. So I used on the blanket 34 ounces of yarn, probably like 34.8 ounces of yarn. This is 0.5. I weighed it. That is what is left. So 1/2 ounce is left. The blanket measures 42 by 52. It's very snuggly and cozy. I will insert a picture so that you can see it. I didn't lay it out completely, but I laid it out enough to where you can get the idea of the color change and whatnot on my pattern. The pattern will be a tutorial on my channel. Tutorial is done. I need to edit my pattern and upload it to my website so that you can have the written pattern as well. A couple of things about the yarn. So I really enjoyed the yarn. It's nice, smooth, and soft. It is 2-ply and it is slightly roving yarn. At times it comes untwisted and it ends up being more of a roving. While I was working it, it did end up, the plies were showing. And it can split if you are not keeping track or paying attention, which also is helpful while weaving in your ends. So I didn't have to frog it at any point. I figure I might go ahead and just work some up and then go ahead and pull it out on channel while I talk about it. So let me grab a hook. It called for an 8mm hook, correct? Yes. Or L, size L in the US. The ball band is here. I did want to touch on a couple of things about the cake. So while I was working the cake, starting the cake was easy. There's a center pull on it. It was no problem to work up, but I think that because the yarn is so slippery, I ended up having issues with it coming apart. I had a fight with the yarn at one point that I didn't. So I had it in my butterfly bag that I got from Hobby Lobby on clearance. Great deal, by the way. That's been a while, but I tried to take it out of there, and in the process of doing that, because it's slippery, it came apart. And so if you have a cake yarn and part of it comes out and you don't know where it fit into the cake per se, you end up having a problem. I knew it was from the outside of the cake, so I took it out of my bag. I started winding it from the opposite end, from the outside, so that it wouldn't get tangled. This yarn does have a tendency to tangle. I don't really understand why, because it is a nice smooth yarn, but it does have a tendency to tangle on itself. And so I spent like an hour one day going through the huge cake, dissecting it here and there when I ran into a problem of not being able to untangle it. I didn't want to waste any of the yarn, right? So I just untangled it to where I couldn't anymore, and then I snipped the end and I had that be a separate ball. And that seemed to make my life a lot easier and better. So I can't say that this will or will not happen to you when you use the anniversary cake, but it does come with a band. On the bottom here, you can see there's a band, and it does go around the bottom so that the cake doesn't fall through with the band. And that is great, and that is good. However, I had it in a bag that fit the cake so snugly that when I went to pull it out, it slid out. So my tip would be, don't put it in a bag. If you do and you have the same problem that I did, dissect it into different balls and work from the ball itself. That made my project way easier to do and enjoy. So there is that. Honestly, other than a few knots that I had in the yarn, was the only problems. And I don't even consider the knots a problem because that happens anyway, whether it's an anniversary cake or not. And the color changes on these cakes are so quick that it doesn't really matter. Like, it wasn't interrupting anything. It's very variegated. So I had no problem with it in that aspect. Yeah, it has a tendency at times to get to just be like roving, two pieces of roving together, and be aware of that when you are using it, that you, let's see right here, I get a split right here. So be aware of that to make sure that you're picking up all of the yarn that you need to pick up. If not, see, I don't even know. So I'm just going to pull back so that you have the entirety of the yarn on there. Like I said, I didn't frog it. Like, I know my pattern, so I wasn't having a problem with that. But I will pull back on this and see if there's a problem. I don't think there will be. Personally, I don't think there will be. There are blurbs like this along as you're working, fuzzies. So if you don't like fuzzy yarn, this one you might want to avoid. It does have a tendency to be fuzzy and shed a bit. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's just one of its qualities that you should be aware of before you go out and you spend the money on it. I did like the fact that when I was done with my project, I have a video on this where you take your ends, you weave them in, and then you poke them with a needle felting set. I purchased mine at Hobby Lobby a lot of years ago, but since then I have picked up some from Temu, and they're cheaper now than they used to be back in the day, and they're very helpful always, but especially with yarns like these where there is a tendency for them to unravel easier because they are the larger yarn. Larger yarns tend to do that, or slippery yarns. And so how that is done, I will show you in just a minute. But I'm going to frog my mini granny square here so that you can see the frogging, because like I said, I did not do this. I only pulled back a few stitches at a time. So see, it caught there. You can see that it's catching on its own fibers. So you're gonna have to be gentle and careful. See this? Oh, you did not see it. Just, a piece of the fiber along. It does end up sometimes catching on itself. Not always, but. So I'm going to get down to the last stitch here, and I'm going to show you what I am talking about with the needle felting. So like I said, I have a video on this. You take a felting needle. This is a 3-prong. You can get them 1-prong. This is my tapestry needle that I use to weave in my ends. And it always comes with a foam pad for you to poke in through. And what you do when you have, let's say this end is woven in, right? We're just going to call that woven in. And then you take the needle for felting and you poke where the end is at. So you poke through. And that attaches the fibers. And what that does is it makes the end harder to come out than it normally would. You do get some fuzz on the side because you are breaking down the yarn, but that will help you keep your ends where you want them to stay. Like I said, I have a video about that. Do I like this yarn? Yes, I do. I do like the yarn a lot. My only problem, like I said, was that good chunk of time that I lost to rewinding. That was my own fault. It's not the yarn's fault. It does tend to tangle on itself sometimes and get caught up in itself because of the style of yarn that it is. So I recommend just taking your time if you need to frog it. I like it. I like the anniversary cake. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review of the yarn. I did not wash the yarn. The washing instructions on the yarn on the ball band say machine washable and dryable. That's what it says right there. So that is what I told her. I said probably gentle cycle with the washing and a low dry. I will let you know if anything terrible comes of that, or if I end up making something with a small amount here and throwing it in the washer. I'll let you know if that's the thing. So it is a thing. And I will put a before picture before this, and then this is the after. I washed this. I did not wash this gentle cycle. I washed it warm normal cycle with tumble dry on low. I think it fuzzed just slightly, but not crazy. You can see the side there, the little fuzz that's on it. I can tell you that it is incredibly soft now. It's like wearable soft. It's amazingly soft now. So whereas it was soft before to me, now it's like so very, very soft. It is wonderful. So don't fear washing it in the washing machine. Like I said, I didn't do it gentle cycle, and I did it warm, and then I tumble dried on low. I think it turned out great. So I'm going to cut back to the original video. Enjoyed working with it. Yes, if I could, I would purchase more. I don't know if I will, but if I could, I would. And yeah, it makes a pretty decent sized blanket with my pattern, which has bobbles in it. So keep that in mind. Your blanket will be larger if you have a pattern that takes, you know, less yarn than bobbles does. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I appreciate you. Until next time,